Hello everyone, welcome to Module 2, Teaching the Receptive Skills. Here we go. Teaching listening skills. What is listening skill? Listening implies receiving language through the ears. It also requires recognizing sounds and processing them into words and sentences. This receptive skill involves two important body parts: our ears to receive sounds and our brain to turn these into messages that mean something to us. Listening requires focus and attention. As a result, it is a skill that some students might find harder than others. That's why we sometimes listen to students making comments that listening is a very hard skill. In addition to that, listening to content in a second language, for example English, requires even more concentration than ever. Listening practice activities in the classroom help students strengthen some useful micro skills involved in communication. For instance, pronunciation, intonation, such as raising and falling intonation, and word stress, to know how to pronounce words correctly and how to give them the correct tone of the voice. Now, let's take a look at some useful listening soft skills. So, listening comprehension is more than just simply understanding vocabulary and expressions. We listen with a purpose, and depending on this intention, we can make use of three important listening soft skills. Soft skill number 1, listening for gist. The objective of listening for gist is to try to understand the main idea of what is happening or what is being described, even without understanding every single phrase or a sentence. We are going to have questions like, what are the speakers talking about? Because we just focus on the main idea of the audio. Number 2, listening for detail. When we listen for detail, we focus on searching for specific information. As we listen carefully, we select the information we need and ignore the rest. So in listening for detail, we can find questions like true or false. Listening for specific information. When we listen for specific information, we often focus on information such as names, places, occupations, objects, a specific number or quantity, etc. And as we listen, we need to recognize when the information is about to be presented and pay particularly close attention to that specific point. We can find questions like, the girl needs to make a personal blank space monthly. So we will have to listen to the material carefully and identify the word that is missing. Teaching reading skills. What is reading? Reading is the process of looking at and understanding the meaning of letters, words, symbols, etc. As we read, we use our eyes to receive written symbols and our brain to transform them into words, sentences, and paragraphs that convey or transmit information. We have two different kinds of reading. Number 1, intensive reading. Intensive reading is used on shorter texts in order to identify key information. Furthermore, intensive reading is usually classroom-based. That means that the teacher prepares a text before class and plans some activities to carry out before reading, during reading, and post-reading. Some useful classroom activities for intensive reading are, putting events in chronological order, using pictures or using phrases. Number 2, marking statements about the text true or false. Or number 3, matching headings to the corresponding paragraphs. Category number 2, extensive reading. In contrast, extensive reading implies that students read for pleasure and usually out of class time independently. Students read to get the general idea or gist of the text without necessarily understanding every single word. Some types of reading material for extensive reading or reading for pleasure are short stories and poems, newspapers and magazines, advertisements and product descriptions, restaurant menus, etc.